It is officially the final day of Fortnite Remix Chapter 2, and about 30 days ago at this point, a lot of you may have found my channel from this video, but I made a rant video talking about how awful the Fortnite Remix prelude event was, as well as the trailer for the Fortnite Remix, like the actual season, and I just wanted to give a little bit of review for this season, and also kind of double down on the things that I said before, and tell you guys a little bit about my reconsideration for some of the artists and their effects on this season. So first off, I initially really did not like the artists being a part of this season, and a lot of people kind of misinterpreted that. It's not necessarily that I'm mad that they're in Fortnite. Fortnite is going to have all types of people in the game, and I've always been perfectly fine with that. It was just the fact that they made them take over the most iconic POIs from Chapter 2, especially the best season in Chapter 2, being Season 2, including, you know, the Agency, the Grotto, the Shark, etc. They made these artists take over the most iconic POIs, and I really did not like that. Additionally, in the trailer, when they showed how they were going to change the weapons, like, you know, the minigun shooting lyrics from one of Eminem's songs, I really just didn't like that, and I was super duper upset about it. But after playing it, and I played this season a lot, actually, I really played a lot. I had a lot of free time this month, so I played the game a lot, so I feel like now I really understand how I feel about this chapter, and overall, it was nice to go back to Chapter 2 in general. I mean, seeing locations like Misty Meadows, Steamy Stacks especially, even like just simple ones like Salty Springs and Pleasant Park, like that stuff was just really nice to see, and it was a breath of fresh air. If you guys don't know, I started making YouTube videos in Chapter 2 Season 3. I'll get into talking about Season 3 a little bit more later, but I started my YouTube journey on Chapter 2, and that was one of the biggest reasons why I was mad that they kind of like remixed it, because I wanted to relive those memories and kind of go back to my roots, you know what I mean, with content creation especially, and I feel like they kind of just like crapped all over it, you know what I mean? But now, you know, I'm a little bit more calm. I understand why they did it. I still wish they would have done it differently, but, you know, like they literally could have just made like all of these artists have smaller POIs, not even necessarily like super small, but like their own mini POIs. Like they could have made the dog pound like somewhere else, you know what I mean? Put Ice Spices, Ice Isle somewhere else, and then just kept those locations the same and added onto it. That would have been so much better, because then it's like a copy of Chapter 2. We're genuinely going back to Chapter 2, but they've just added more onto it. That would have honestly been even better. But the Mythics overall were great, and it was so much fun to use stuff like the drum gun, you know, the mini gun, especially Ice Spices AR. I love that AR so much. I believe the only two that they didn't do were the yacht and the rig didn't have an artist on them, but they were still like remixed. I didn't land at those very often. I landed the rig a lot because it had a really good vault, but other than that, I mostly tried to get Ice Spices stuff and Eminem's Mythics, because those were honestly the best. The minigun was so much fun to use. The lyrics were not that intrusive. They weren't too loud. They didn't get annoying. If anything, it was actually like funny to me, and one of my biggest worries about that minigun was, is it going to be like annoying? Like, am I going to be able to use this? Are the lyrics going to be so loud to where I literally cannot use this Mythic? And that was not the case. The Mythics were very balanced overall, I feel, and it felt exactly how Chapter 2 Season 2 was, which I really liked. They didn't mess with, you know, the weapons too much. I think the most that they messed with was probably Ice Spices with the ice effect and the spice effect. That made a lot of sense. That was fine, and I really did enjoy it. So overall, the Mythics were awesome, and I love what they did with them. Now, the loophole in particular took a while to get used to, and I don't know particularly why. It was probably just because it had been a while. I mean, it's been like 3 years, 4 years since that was out, however long ago that was. Long time ago. I think 2019 is when it actually came out, like the later end of 2019, but it had been a while, and the loophole took a while to get used to, especially going back to hit scan from the projectile system that we had in Chapter 5. I had gotten really used to the projectile system, and to be honest, I prefer hit scan more, and it doesn't look like we're going to be going back to hit scan in Chapter 6, unfortunately, but you know, it is what it is. Overall, Remix, the loophole was interesting. Every time I would open an epic chest, I feel like I would always get a blue bolt or a blue pistol. That was really frustrating, and also there were so many charged shotguns everywhere, and I do not really like the charged shotgun. I would so much rather have a pump than a charge, and I feel like I could only find charged shotguns. That's not necessarily the fault of them just being in the game. It was just like, you know, the volume of how many there were in the loophole. So other than that, I think it was alright. I did like that they changed it throughout, and it wasn't just the same loophole for the entire month. Other than that, it was really good. Now, the map is absolutely huge. I forgot how big Chapter 2's map actually is, and it actually like reignited my feelings about, you know, Fortnite maps need to be small to medium size. I remember saying this all the time in Fortnite Chapter 2, that we need a smaller map, because I felt so many times, especially at the beginning of the season, like I would fight a bunch of people at the beginning, there would be no one in the middle, I'd literally just be running around, not able to find a soul, and then the circle still would get like it would still be really, really big, but there'd only be like, 10, 13 people left. And it was so frustrating because it feels like I'm like wasting my time. Like the games are lasting so much longer than what they need to be. And that was really frustrating. But over time, that got a little bit better. I feel like if they are going to do a big map again, they either need to increase the player count or they need to make the storm move faster, because by the time the first circle came in, less than half of the lobby is still alive. So that was really, really frustrating. And there were little bits of that happened throughout the rest of the month, not just the beginning. So that is something that Fortnite needs to take away from this, and something that I took away from it, but it really wasn't like that big of a deal. And this is the biggest one. I wish we would have went back to season 3 as well. As you guys probably know, in the roadmap for 2024 that was leaked at the beginning of chapter 5, I believe, it showed that we were going to go back to chapter 2 and we were going to go through season 1, season 2, season 3, because it had all of those key arts like on top of each other, and we ultimately didn't go back to season 3. They probably scrapped that idea completely. That was probably around the time where they were like tossing around the idea of going back to chapter 2, and then they decided to do this thing with the artists. But I really wish we would have been able to go back to season 3, because that was by far my favorite season of chapter 2. The mythics like the bottomless chug jug, Ocean's burst assault rifle, Jules drum gun and her grappler was awesome. You could redeploy with it, and just in general, the flood would have been awesome to see. They could have very easily done this, put chapter 3 in this, even if it was just a flood for like a week and then it completely went away. I would have been fine with that. I really just wanted to see the map flooded again, and that was such a unique season. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that again, so I was really excited to see that, and unfortunately they didn't do it. Now overall, I got a little bit more of a better mindset when I imagined this as not necessarily a chapter 2 return, but more like an extension of chapter 2, like it was a chapter 2 season 9, because it didn't necessarily feel like season 2, to be completely honest, because Midas wasn't there. It just didn't have the same sort of like spy vibe, I guess. The henchmen and stuff were still there, but it really just wasn't the same because of what they changed. And when I thought of it like, well, maybe let's just say this is like an extension of chapter 2, this is like a season 9 or like a season in between 2 and 3, that made me feel a lot better. And overall, I did really like this season. Before I end this video though, I do want to say thank you all so much for the massive support this month on my channel. This was by far the best month that I've ever had on YouTube, and I kept my momentum going, uploading every single day for you guys. Uploaded 30 out of 30 days in November. Thank you guys for watching my videos. Thank you guys for subscribing. I've been overwhelmed with the amount of support I've had in these last 30 days, and I plan to continue uploading every single day in December and hopefully January as well. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, use code Prozeroyt. Let me know what you guys thought about Remix, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.